Why do underground tournament movies still survive? Because people still want to watch fighters prove themselves. Not superheroes, not CGI armies, just skill against skill. Let's take a look at how tournament films evolved after Bloodsport and why they refuse to die even today. Welcome to Action Movie Insider. I'm Roman, and for over 15 years, I've been interviewing action stars, stunt performers, and filmmakers. Here, I break down what makes fights feel real, and why most modern action movies get it wrong. One fighter entered a tournament, one rival standing in the way, one final match that decides everything. That formula never really disappeared. Back in the late 80s and 90s, Bloodsport created a blueprint that action cinema copied for years. Suddenly, there were films like Bloodfist, The King of the Kickboxers, Karate Tigers, Bloodsport, and No Retreat. No Surrender sequels. Most of them followed the same structure. An underground tournament, a dangerous champion, a hero searching for revenge, respect, or survival. Simple. But that simplicity is exactly why audiences still connect with these movies. Even after the genre disappeared from theaters, filmmakers kept it alive through direct-to-video action, independent cinema, and streaming platforms. Because tournament movies still offer something modern action often forgets: clear stakes, physical performance, and the excitement of watching real fighters push themselves to the limit. When Never Back Down arrived in 2008, it basically asked, what if the Karate Kid met MMA culture? The film replaced traditional martial arts mythology with modern gyms, cage fighting, and teenage anger. Instead of secret underground kumites, you had backyard fights, YouTube-style hype, and fighters training for respect in a world obsessed with toughness. The movie clearly targeted the post-Ultimate Fighting Championship boom era. Fast striking, ground fighting, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Everything felt influenced by the rise of real mixed martial arts. But what made the film work wasn't realism. It was emotional. Sean Ferris played Jake Tyler like a classic 80s hot-headed hero trapped inside a 2000s MMA movie. And Cam Jigandet's Ryan McCarthy became one of the most memorable rich boy villains of that era. Then came Never Back Down 2, The Beatdown. Smaller budget, less studio polish, but ironically, more authentic fight choreography. Michael Jai White directed the sequel and pushed the action closer to real combat rhythm. The fights felt heavier, more physical, and less glossy. And Never Back Down, No Surrender leaned even further into old-school tournament structure. By that point, the franchise had fully transformed from teen drama into modern direct-to-video martial arts cinema. 2009 gave us two very different takes on underground combat. First was Fighting, starring Channing Tatum. The movie stripped tournament cinema down to bare essentials. No secret assassins, no over-the-top villains. Just illegal street fights organized for money. The fights were raw and grounded, almost intentionally awkward at times. You could feel the influence of real brawling instead of choreographed martial arts fantasy. Then came Blood and Bone. And for action fans, this was the real event. Michael Jai White brought back the nearly invincible martial arts hero archetype that had almost disappeared from American action cinema. The film feels like a spiritual cousin to Bloodsport and Kickboxer, a quiet warrior entering brutal underground fights while slowly dismantling an entire criminal system. But what really made the movie stand out was the choreography. Every strike looked clean. Every throw had an impact. And White moved with the kind of control that modern editing often destroys. For many fans, Blood and Bone became proof that classic martial arts action still worked, if filmmakers respected the performers. In 2010 came the movie that completely changed modern tournament cinema, Undisputed 3, Redemption. Scott Adkins' Yuri Boyka wasn't even supposed to become an icon. In the previous film, he was the villain, but Undisputed 3 transformed him into something rare, a modern martial arts anti-hero. The prison tournament setting was simple, but incredibly effective. Fighters from different countries, different styles, constant escalation. And unlike many modern action films, director Isaac Florentine understood one crucial thing. You must actually see the fighters move. Wide shots, long combinations, minimal shaky cam. The choreography blended acrobatics with brutal impact in a way few American productions were doing at the time. Scott Adkins moved like a video game character brought to life. Spinning kicks, flying attacks, impossible athleticism. But the fight still felt painful. Then Boyka, Undisputed, gave the character something unexpected. A soul. Instead of simply repeating tournament structure, the film turned Boyka into a man searching for redemption. And that emotional angle elevated the franchise far beyond typical direct-to-video action. For many fans today, Undisputed 3 remains the modern benchmark for tournament fighting movies. Tai Chi took the genre into darker territory. Directed by Keanu Reeves, the film mixed traditional martial arts philosophy with underground modern fighting entertainment. Tiger Chen's character begins as a disciplined Tai Chi practitioner, but slowly becomes corrupted by violence and money. And that's what makes the movie interesting. It's not really about winning tournaments. It's about losing yourself inside them. The choreography is fantastic because it respects actual martial arts rhythm. Tai Chi movements become offensive weapons without looking fake or overly stylized. And Reeves plays the promoter almost like the devil himself, manipulating fighters for entertainment. The movie feels like a bridge between old kung fu philosophy and modern fight cinema cynicism. When Kickboxer, Vengeance brought the franchise back with Alain Moussi replacing Jean-Claude Van Damme, the movie wasn't trying to reinvent tournament cinema. It was trying to resurrect a feeling, training in brutal conditions, broken bodies, endless preparation. The idea that victory must be earned through suffering. Alain Moussi brought real athletic credibility to the role, while Van Damme returned in a completely different form. No longer the young champion, but the strange master guiding the next generation. Then Kickboxer. Retaliation went even bigger and crazier, adding MMA fighters, bodybuilder-sized villains, and pure comic book energy. The plots became increasingly ridiculous, but honestly, that almost felt faithful to the spirit of old direct-to-video martial arts cinema. Because beneath all the insanity, the movie still cared about something many modern action films ignore: watching real fighters do real physical work. Female Fight Club showed another direction, and underground fighting movies were beginning to explore female-led combat stories. The movie follows women trapped inside brutal underground fights, mixing exploitation-style intensity with modern MMA influence. The execution wasn't always polished, but the film reflected an important shift in the genre. Tournament movies were evolving, not just copying the same lone male warrior formula from the 80s and 90s, but experimenting with new fighters, new perspectives, and different emotional dynamics. Even lower-budget entries like Female Fight Club proved something important. The tournament movie formula was still alive. It was simply adapting to a new era. Then something strange happened. Fans started missing old-school tournament movies so much, filmmakers simply brought them back. The Last Kumite feels almost like a love letter to the VHS era. It embraces the cliches proudly: underground tournaments, colorful fighters, training montages, over-the-top villains. And honestly, that's part of the charm. The movie understands that tournament cinema was never just about realism. It was about mythology. Every fighter represented a style. Every match told a story. Every final battle felt personal. Matthias Hughes, Cynthia Rothrock, Billy Black, Mitchell Chissy, and Kurt McKinney. What else do you need to enjoy it? And now, after 30 years, we are back to the Mortal Kombat era again. What's fascinating is that Mortal Kombat keeps reinventing tournament cinema for new generations. The original 1995 movie captured arcade game energy perfectly. The modern version adds bigger world-building, fantasy mythology, and brutal violence. But underneath everything, it's still the same formula that made Bloodsport work decades ago. Fighters enter a deadly competition to prove themselves. That idea never gets old, because tournament movies give audiences something pure. Clear stakes, clear rivals, clear goals, no complicated universes required. Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, flawless victory. So why do filmmakers keep returning to underground tournaments and illegal fight arenas? Because combat sports never stopped evolving, and neither did the audience. Back in the 90s, movies like Bloodsport felt larger than life, because most people had never seen real fighters from different styles collide. Now they can watch it every weekend. UFC, under Dana White, turned real cage fighting into global mainstream entertainment. One championship pushed Muay Thai to massive international audiences. Even pro wrestling keeps reinventing combat spectacle through projects like Real American Freestyle. And all of that influences tournament cinema. Modern fight movies move faster now. The striking looks sharper. The grappling is more realistic. The fighters themselves are often real athletes instead of traditional actors. But the core formula still survives because it taps into something timeless: competition, discipline, pain, survival. Tournament movies strip action down to its purest form. No giant mythology, no complicated universes, just fighters trying to prove themselves. These movies still deliver something physical that many blockbusters lost. You feel the exhaustion, you feel the preparation, you feel every strike land. And as long as people want to see warriors enter the arena to test themselves against the best, tournament movies will never truly disappear. Maybe they won't dominate Hollywood again, but somewhere in underground action cinema, the next Kumite is always waiting. Next time, we're stepping into the boxing ring. From Rocky to modern fight dramas, we'll break down why boxing movies became one of Hollywood's most powerful sports genres, and why audiences still connect with fighters chasing impossible comebacks. If this episode changed the way you look at tournament movies and fight cinema, like and subscribe to this channel and follow us on TikTok and Instagram. Comment below which tournament movie is still your favorite. Before you go, quick one. I've just released my first action thriller, following a character you're going to hear more about on this channel, Nick Asano. It's a story about a vanished AI program, a global criminal syndicate, and a man pulled back into a world of violence he tried to leave behind. From Las Vegas to Vietnam, it blends grounded combat, real-world tactics, and the kind of action I talk about here. If you're into smart, hard-hitting action stories, check it out on Amazon.